I've seen quite a few suggestions of people saying, hey, if you don't want to pay for this 2% fee, why don't you just go get a license yourself and take care of your own offer?
That's a really good question.
The real question is, what is your time cost? The way that I did it was I quit my job, which means that was a massive investment. I got my license in like 2.5 weeks, but it's because I turned that into my 9 to 5.
Yep.
And so that cost me money because I was not working with the idea that I was going to get into this and jump into the industry and become a rich drunk like everybody else. And the drunk happened. The rich took. I didn't get paid for like.
The rich took a lot longer.
The rich took longer.
So last night I was doom scrolling on my phone, like a lot of us do.
And you went deep enough to get to Threads.
I was on Threads. Not a deep dive for me because I am a Threads user. I enjoy it.
Is it your primary?
Yeah. The thing about Threads, you don't know where it's going to drop. Where you open up Threads and you don't know where it's going to drop you off. You get dropped off in the middle of some random threads that I don't even know how it thinks I want to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like to go on there just to see, like, what does Threads think I'm interested in today?
I don't use Threads enough. Mine is still assuming because I am male that I want to see adult content, and I haven't trained it that
in Threads on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't use it enough for it to, or maybe let's move on. We can cut all that.
What did you find on Threads?
Yeah. So
Lori?
anyway, to the point, I'm just going to read you the first post that the author had initially a 2-part post, but I'll start with the first one. And he said, "My wife and I are house shopping, and I'm on Zillow/Redfin all day, every day.
Yeah,
totally common.
Mm-hmm. If I find the house, go to the open house, decide the offer, and tell my agent exactly what the offer should include, does that agent still deserve 2.5%? Or can I ask for the percentage to be lowered since I did most/all of the work?"
There is a lot to unpack in this thread. I see why there were so many comments on there. Also, wow, there are some comments on there that surprised me about our real estate industry. There were some comments that realtors made, and I'm like, that can't be. I hope that's not a real person.
what'd they say?
I don't know. They're just rude and, I mean, just not educational to the industry at all. And just very, very defensive in what I think is like a legitimate question. However, there's like 7 points in here that I think are huge. Number one, the first point that I bring up is you're doing exactly what every consumer should be doing. So the guy writing this post, educating yourself about the market. I mean, we tell all of our clients, go on Zillow, look on there, see what things sell for, see what things list for. And the more you understand the process, the better off you are going to be about making a home buying decision. I tell all of my clients, though, like, it is a partnership in that process. Like, when you have a question about that house, call me and ask me that question about the house. Like, in today's day and age, where I'm going to disagree with this post a little bit about, in today's day and age, the realtor's job, the realtor that you're hiring, I disagree with the poster in this case because the job is not to find the house. So where he has said in the post, well, I did most of the work because I found the house. I absolutely do not think that is the job. If it is a very, very small portion because the technology has gotten so much better that you and I, it used to be I would find out about the homes before you did, or I would have access to them before you did. You and I are going to find out about the homes at the same time. Your searches and alert technology is similar to mine. What is not similar in that relationship and situation is I've sold 1,500 homes and I know where the bumps and bruises are going to be. And so you're going to find the home. We're going to look at it. If we come to agreement, like he said, I know the price that I want to offer and I found the home. If we have agreement on that and then we start moving forward, that's not where my value as a real estate agent is. My value is in what does that contract look like that we're writing up? What protections did I put in that contract? What timelines are typical so that your offer gets accepted? It's like that advising role is where I believe the majority of the work is happening.
If the idea is that on certain transactions, things are smooth enough,
Yes.
that the client didn't necessarily detect the labor that you put in a lot of circumstances, that just means that you're really good at what you do.
Yes, and I think the basis of his question or situation is that absolutely you have the right to ask in that situation, and when you're asking, you and your agent should be having a dialogue about it.
For sure.
The basis of his question is, if I do A, B, and C, should I be able to ask for X amount less? I think that was the basis of it. Should I be able to ask for less? And I think you have to have a conversation with your agent to up front to be like, if this happens, will this be? And then you and the agent get to make a decision about that relationship. And that's part of the process. So I think you absolutely, it's a negotiation. It's a negotiation with your agent and the services, because what a lot of people don't realize in the industry is they think they're paying for one thing, and that is real estate services. But the real estate services you get with me are different than the real estate services they get with Brian, and we're even in the same company. Mm-hmm. And then, God forbid, we go to other companies, and those services are different. And a lot of people, like some people, value and want, the cheapest route possible, and some people value and want expert advice that gets them the best result. Those, where the confusion happens online is people think those are the same thing. Mm-hmm. And they're just not. If I've done 2,000 transactions and I've seen all the missteps, and somebody's done 3 transactions and these issues come up, then, the way I'm going to guide that client, I believe, is worth significantly more than the alternative that they're getting.
Yeah.
And so I think you have to have that. You have to have that conversation with the customers. But some of the comments are hilarious,
and it's so mixed because you can tell this is a hot button issue on both sides. So you have realtors that actually do a pretty fantastic job of answering this guy's question, which I feel that you also just did. You were addressing what he wanted to know. But you get so many people that are just like, you're an idiot, or wait and see, and then you'll find out why you need a realtor. It's just more of the fact that anybody would even question what they're paying for, they're offended by, which...
The other thing that I bring up and talk about with people in question is, I think one of the underlying factors that's not addressed, and I actually didn't see it addressed anywhere in the thread, and maybe it was at some point, but the basis of his question was, if I'm using Zillow and I'm on there all day and I go and I look at the houses and I do that, should I be able to pay my agent less? What's not addressed in that equation by the consumer, and I think people forget about this, is how does the consumer think Zillow is getting paid? You just use this tool. You just said yourself it's the best tool and they have the best search and this. But the consumer, when they make that post, doesn't stop and say, well, how's Zillow getting paid? They're just saying, well, can I request less from my agent? But I think it's naive for the consumer to think that the agent and part of what you're paying for is having a great service like Zillow. Because hands down, like, the reason you're searching on it is because it's better than your agent's search function. It's better. But, they've spent billions of dollars perfecting this. You're using it because it's amazing. Who's paying for that? Well, likely partly your agent, because agents want to advertise on there and agents want to have access to that. So yeah, you can have that conversation with your agent and ask for less, but you need to know. And now in certain states, that's actually even being mandated, because in certain states now there's a law that says referral fees have to be disclosed. So if your agent is paying something to Zillow in certain states that you're in, you will know exactly what that is. Washington being one of those states as well. And so you start to look and think, okay, so some of that, maybe the agent's not getting all that money. Maybe, it seems like a pretty big chunk, but maybe Zillow's getting a piece of that money. Maybe the broker that your agent works at, because he's got to have errors and omissions insurance if something messes up. And last time I checked, insurance rates have been plummeting.
Yeah. Gas too. Yeah. Gas is down.
Gas is down. So that broker has to have errors and omissions insurance so that they can function.
Yeah.
The agent has to have general liability insurance so they can even drive out to that open house and host that open house and show you. So by the time it gets down there are layers in that transaction where that agent is not getting all of that commission that you think the agent is getting.
Yeah, there are transactions where it may not look like I earned it on that specific transaction. But I would also say that this may have something to do with the kind of agent that they're
your phone rings at all times when you're
business is happening.
Yeah, I should probably, next time I do a podcast, silence that.
We're not pros.
Yeah, we're not
How
pros.
important is that?
Well,
is that Zillow? Did I hear you talking about?
No, it says spam. It says likely spam. So let's silence that. But that is it's addictive as a realtor. Even though we do other things, I've got to have that phone by me.
Yeah.
I've got to have that ringer on because you're right. It could be, it could be a Zillow call.
The best way to guarantee that something will happen is for me to make other plans.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually,
I start cooking dinner.
I brought a list of, I brought with me today, because I wasn't sure how much time we were going to have. When a new realtor comes and interviews with me or talks about getting in the industry and wants coaching, I have this list of 42 points of what you need to expect in your first year of business. And one of those points is a lot of people come to me and they're like, you know what, I want to get into real estate for flexibility.
Yeah.
For flexibility. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we should have a real discussion about that, because you are going to have a lot of flexibility, the flexibility to have your phone ring during a podcast, the flexibility to have a transaction falling apart during your 4-year-old's birthday party. The flexibility to plan a Mother's Day trip to the nursery, and your client you've worked with for 6 months is ready to write an offer on Mother's Day.
I sold a house, got a house under contract both times I was in the hospital when my kids were being born. Both times.
Right.
Both times. And
the more kids you have, the more sales.
Yeah, and exactly. Go on vacation, have a kid, you'll sell a house. And there's a toll that takes on your relationships with the people you care about, because my thought is, my wife is wonderful. Hold on. I was about to say my wife is wonderful, but my wife is wonderful and would have, she would be completely right to, in that moment when I am on my phone in the hospital, it wasn't during the birth. I actually had a baseball game on while the birth, while Audrey was being born. I had a baseball game on my phone. I wanted something to ground me to reality in this chaos that was happening. So I wasn't anyway, I'm a good guy. My wife would have been perfectly within her rights while I was selling houses in the hospital, to say could you be present in this moment? And my gut reaction, if she said that, would have been I got to pay for the hospital.
And that's one of the things about flexibility in the industry. Yes, you have flexibility, but it's not the type of flexibility that people normally think about, because it just is going to happen. If you're going to make a lot of money in this business, it's in many cases, it's not always going to happen on your schedule. Mm-hmm. I mean, the other thing I point out to people is a lot of times people are like, well, hey, I just got my license, and I have a ton of friends and family, and I'm super excited to help them with their real estate transactions. And so what I tell people a lot in the beginning is like, yeah, that's great, but there's a lot of reasons why you're going to get your feelings hurt. There's a lot of friends and family that aren't going to use you because you don't know anything. Mm-hmm. And they know that about you better than anyone else. They're like, oh God, he just got his license, and this is my largest financial, asset. And, my wife's never really liked my nephew as much as I do. And so I'm not really sure, that we trust him to do this. And so then they don't use you. You're new in the business and you're young enough to not know any better. And so you're sitting there and being like, man, why doesn't Uncle Lance want to use me? I'm trying to get into the business here.
I don't want to use you because I know you.
Oh, correct. Right. I've seen things.
I love you, but you're an idiot.
So a lot of times people.
I hope he's not talking about an actual nephew.
There's plenty. Everybody knows somebody in the business. And so a lot of times it takes a couple of years for you to earn that respect by the number of transactions you've done, what you've been doing. And so there's a lot of good reasons why people don't use the latest family member that got licensed in the business. Yeah. And then sometimes they do. And I've even had this experience. And I think anybody that's been in the business, for a decent amount of times, sometimes they use that, nephew, uncle, cousin. And then in the middle of the transaction, they call me for advice about all of the things that are going wrong, which creates a whole nother can of worms of issues, because now they have a fiduciary duty with their cousin, nephew. I have a realtor code of ethics that I have to follow that says I cannot interfere with that fiduciary duty. So even me giving them advice about that transaction that they're in could potentially cause me a code of ethics violation. Mm-hmm. And so now they're stuck. Like they're stuck in that fiduciary relationship. That broker, they're calling me for advice. They're bad situations. I see them all the time. And so, just know what you're getting into.
I think absolutely. And I think anytime someone asks me, actually, in my entire career, anytime somebody asked me what they should do to get into the real estate business, the thing I always told them was to find a team to start with for several reasons. The chief among them is like, you do not know what you're doing. Surround yourself with people that do, and do it in an environment where it's not just a collection of lone wolves that are viewing everybody around them as their competition. Because if you boiled it down, within these walls, if another agent within this office and I are competing for an offer, we are opponents in that circumstance. But in every other circumstance, having people around you that have an answer to a question. I've been in the business for 12 years, and it took me till year 10 to come and do this, even while I was telling everybody to come join the Kenmore team. But I don't know why I didn't do that until for a decade. But what I always tell people is that you need to surround yourself with people that do know what you're doing, partially for the reason that you can sort of pretend, you can lean on other people's knowledge to pretend that you have some idea of what you're doing.
Well, it's just a collection of knowledge and advisement. I think that mentor relationship is overlooked in the real estate industry so many times. And, there's a lot of talk about technology platforms and AI can write the contracts for you and stuff. But when you need to know how to get a contract accepted with a certain builder and a certain agent in town, I mean, we can look at our transaction board and say like, oh man, David just worked with DR Horton Homes. And so I'm going to go over and talk to him. And David is like, yeah, I just finished their contract with them. We got ABC. You can't get landscaping because of X. And then, I mean, you immediately become an expert in that. And then you apply that expertise to your clients.
Yeah.
So
There are some agents here that I watched. The conversation we just had with Nate the other day where we were driving about something as in the weeds as something he's not going to do that often at this point, which is escalation addendums. And the nightmare that escalation addendums and the 22AD, the additional down payment in the event of low appraisal addendum, that fire hose that he's able to sort of to take in from other people's experience is huge.
yeah, and it's real estate, right? So if you think it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If you don't think it's going to happen, it's also going to happen.
What other industries are there where you do the same thing every day for 12 years and you run into something? Just a land question I had yesterday for Jeremy, another agent in this office, a land question I had. I'm looking at this like, how do I not know the answer to this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a moron.
And I mean, that same trip you were talking about when
Yeah.
we went out to, I was like, the day before I was putting my sign up and I was like, man, I think this is in an easement, but it's going to be fine until the road maintenance crews come and shred the easement. This was like on a Sunday. And I'm like, but it's going to be fine. Monday, we go back to do drone photography and we get about a mile from where I put the sign up. And what do I see? Lo and behold, in the middle of nowhere, a freaking road maintenance crew like shredding the weeds in the easement. And I looked over at you guys. I said, well, that's just effing typical.
Your sign's
because, because now, luckily, it was a rural, amazing maintenance department. Shout out North Franklin County. And they were nice enough to talk to me about where my sign needed to go. So yes, so and not shredded over.
Yeah,
which,
absolutely.
which was amazing.
Yeah.
So but if it's gonna happen, you know, there's gonna be a traffic accident, there's gonna be a road closed, you're gonna be late to a showing. Like I just tell people in real estate, one thing that you better have is versatility and adaptability. Like you have to be versatile in those situations, and that part of the business never changes. We can't AI that part out.
For sure. Well, then, I mean, does that happen in other industries? Oh, obviously doctors, astronauts.
Yeah, I bet
we're not doctors. And
I bet
astronauts,
attorneys with different
we're not
cases and trials and
we're less special, I
industries
think, than I
happen.
would
And
say.
then I do tell people too. I mean, I've only gotten through 3 of the like 42 points. Like we'll have to have another show about the other 42. But you know that big thing, the big hot button items are like flexibility. Your phone rings all the time. That's in there. You also you're gonna deal with a certain number of psychopaths every year. Like if you're in public service, like that's just going to happen, right? And so you're going to get into a transaction or a situation where you're just like, how does this ever happen in real life? But you're in and out of people's personal property and homes, and you're gonna see things. I mean, I don't think I'm allowed to say I think there's a trademarked saying by a certain insurance company, but I know some things because I've seen some things, and we see new ones. We see new ones all the time. Like you had one yesterday. I mean, it's early today. We're going to see something new later today, and it's going to be amazing. And that's also exciting for people. Maybe I'm the psychopath, but I mean, but
if everybody you run into is a psychopath,
but
probably you.
there are cool things. We see something new every single day.
Every day.
I do have a question as I've been scrolling through the comments.
Oh, no.
She's on threads again.
Oh no.
I'm not on the same thread. I didn't go anywhere. I've seen quite a few suggestions of people saying, hey, if you don't want to pay for this 2% fee, why don't you just go get a license yourself and take care of your own offer? Which leads me to the question. There's a lot here.
It makes me laugh out loud.
But here's my question.
God.
If they're saying you want to save 2.5%, go get your real estate license. How much does it cost just on the front end to get a real estate license and to be able to to start out? How much money are you putting into that? Like how much does a class cost? I mean, there's a class fee, there's a license fee.
That's a really good question.
The real question is, what does your time cost? Because
also, but I mean, is
let's
the
just
cost
break
to get
down-
a license worth the 2.5% savings?
Let's just break down the hard costs, though. So yes,
math.
okay. So yes, if you do roughly $700 for your licensing courses,
yeah.
okay, $300 for the test. So you're in at about $1,000 for licensing courses and tests, and then you have to go hang your license with a designated broker.
Yeah.
So let's assume the cheapest way possible that you could do that. And this is not an endorsement. I would never do this, but you could go to what's called a low cost, like desk fee only or fee only service, like cloud-based brokerage, which is right for certain people. It's not right for newbies, in my opinion, because I just talked about how you need a mentor. But you could do that for roughly, let's just overestimate, $500 a month. So, so you could go get your license for the $1,000. You could sign up for the first month, $500 with the broker, and then you're going to need 2 months until your transaction closes. So that would be roughly $2,000, and then you've got to join your local MLS, which is going to cost you just say another $1,000. So it's going to cost you about $3,000 to get your license active, get it hung with a broker, but then you got to know what you're doing. And people are like, "Well, that's what I took the class for." Absolutely not. The real estate licensing class teaches you theory about how to do it. Like you can go. Like there are certain flight schools. I always put this in perspective with pilots. Okay. There are certain flight schools that you can go to, intensive flight schools. I've been to them. And before you arrive at flight school, you have to pass the written. That is like getting your real estate license. Okay. So that would be like saying, "Hey, I have finished the written and I'm ready to fly. Show me the plane." And they go and stick you in the plane by yourself.
Take off.
And
Take
you're
off.
like, "Are you going to get in that plane with that person? Please don't. It's not even legal."
Yeah.
Now, in real estate, the difference is it's legal. In real estate, it's not legal in aviation. You can't, you have to solo and do that. That's how it should be in real estate. It's not like you have to get like 25 hours, take another test and solo. So it's the exact same. But in real estate, you can go take off with the plane. I don't think you can land it, but you can take off. And so it should be like aviation where like you do 6 or 7 deals and then you can solo and go do your own deal. It's not. So you could get $3,000 in, try to convince somebody to help you write the offer, hope you don't screw anything up, and then you could save that commission potentially. So you could potentially save a lot of money. I would never recommend it.
Absolutely. Well, and if your focus was on saving the money, you have to do all. What is the first 90 hour first? Isn't the first one 90 hours?
Yeah, 90 hours. Yeah.
So the 90 hours that you need to spend doing your coursework, the way that I did it was I quit my job, which means that was a massive investment. I got my license in like 2.5 weeks. But it's because I turned that into my 9 to 5.
Yep.
And so that cost me money because I was not working with the idea that I was going to get into this and jump into the industry and become a rich drunk like everybody else. And the drunk happened. The rich took. I didn't get paid for like.
The rich took a lot longer.
The rich took longer. So the idea that you're going to save, what would it be on a $450,000 house? You're saving what, $10,000 ish?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to save that 2.5% commission, on top of all of those fees that you laid out, the time that you spent to do the license work
Is
that
an
you could have been doing.
opportunity
Yeah,
You bring up so many good points.
yeah. Well,
And we also put, I mean, it's true. Like we led the real estate show. Like we felt necessary to put whiskey and dirt all in there in the same time. And so your comments are not wrong.
Yeah.
But it is it's amazing. Don't let what I just said talk anybody out of it. Like it is one of the most incredible careers. It's just not what most people expect from HGTV.
Mm-hmm.
And I love HGTV too.
Boy, I wish it was like that.
It would be so much
Be
fun.
so good.
It would be so, and there's just little snippets of it
Yeah.
that are the same.
Yeah. I'm going to show you 3 houses. You pick one. That's it.
If every
That's it.
buyer
Yeah.
was like that, that's it.
Yeah.
And let's discuss the last one over drinks at the beach
Yes.
cafe.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't write a lot of offers at the beach cafe. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. No, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have a lot of clients that they're, can I pick on this show where they have 3 houses where I
Yeah,
say,
sure.
Yeah.
where the client comes in and, one of them's a, part-time dog walker and the other one makes baskets out of, grocery bags and they have a $10 million budget. Like
Yeah.
you don't have those clients very often.
No, not as often as we would like. Occasionally, and then
wouldn't-
it's really fun.
I wouldn't turn it down.
I wouldn't turn it down. Yep, we're here for you guys.
Yeah, if you're that person, give me a call, and I'll be there for you when the rain starts. Okay,
Okay,
we
that's
did
the
it.
show.
We solved real estate.
I love it.